Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. We're back again. Today, we're joined by the beautiful Patrick Rose.
Here he is, upping our beauty quotient.
Of course. Absolutely. How are you, Patrick?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're all good.
Doing good.
The person you just heard is none other than the dashing Dave Thier.
Here, that's what I'm doing. I'm dashing.
And present and alert, and has a lot on his mind. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. Before we do, if this is your first time here, please do like, subscribe, do these things that I ask you to do. I hate to ask you, but please do. Apparently, supposedly, allegedly, it helps us in some shape or form. And then, of course, go to guysweekly.com. Subscribe every Friday, 9 a.m. Wherever you are in the world, you'll get out a newsletter, saving you a lot of time. My friends, before we jump into talking some awesome games and topics, how about we play a game? Do you guys want to play a game?
Let's do it.
I was very close to clicking on the leave button. That would be very awkward and weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just gonna stop. Riverside is shuffling around some stuff, so it's getting used to new buttons and stuff. But friends, let's there's a theme going on here today as well. Of course, you're accustomed to me doing themes with my games. We'll see if you figure it out, but there's a lot to talk about today with regards to this theme, so we'll get to it. Okay, here's the first game, my friends. The best action platform game I've ever seen or played. This is a quote from a die-hard game fan, apparently. But anyways, here's what it says on the box. Enter the vivid 3D world of this character, a marsupial on a mission. His brain's been scrambled, his girlfriend is held captive, and his arch nemesis has a big N on his forehead. And you thought you had it tough. Over 30 beautiful levels with awesome sound effects and music, plus the type of gameplay you've been craving. Encounter bonus levels, friendship traps, hair-raising enemies, disappearing bridges. Only now in all 3D, apparently. Uncover hidden areas and secret bonus levels. A fantasy cartoon world comes to life exclusively for this console I'm not going to mention. But maybe I'll mention it depending on your guesses.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of other tells in here anyways. I'm just going to go with Crash Bandicoot, no subtitle, just the first one.
Patrick, how about you?
Absolutely Crash Bandicoot. If you know that Japanese commercial, which is great, this is with the song "The Crash Bandicoot."
I'm not good at it for you.
I'm not good at this though.
Yeah, this is what's interesting here for me in reading this. It's the most unexciting way of explaining a game. I did find another cover art here for. I think this is for like Europe. This was more interesting. Like, take a spin with this hyperactive island hopper. That sounded more fun. It sounded more like,
Yeah, but 3D is a huge selling point at this point. So if you're not mentioning that, I don't know.
3 dimension.
There are the images which do indicate that, but
Yeah.
And Naughty Dog used to be fun. I want them to be fun again.
Me and you, Dave, are going to dedicate a full episode to talk about Naughty Dog and what happened there.
They got sad, man. They got old. They got sad.
Very sad.
And I think they lost Amy Hennig. I think Amy Hennig was responsible for bringing
the force
to Uncharted.
Absolutely. I gotta say, I hear you very well today, Dave. I don't know what you did. Maybe it's Riverside.
I'm great. I'm going.
Patrick, you're very quiet today. What's going on? I need more energy.
More energy, even more.
I need more power.
Are you playing Bond? Is Titus back there? What's on your computer?
I finished that. Yeah, that's Bond. I finished that game, and it's really good. I really love it.
I did like the tutorial for one thing is great. Highly cinematic, playable training montage, basically. Super cool. And then I did the first mission, so I'm still moving with it. But I really like what I see so far.
Can I buy it on a CD?
Mm.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that, friends. Yes, I can. Okay. Next game, my friends. Driven by instinct, this game is the gut-wrenching, white-knuckled ride of your life. with multiple tracks, vehicles, and weaponry. It's the next generation racing game for next generation gamers. Are you guys next generation gamers? Except nothing less than ultra fast 3D. Textured mapped graphics scorching past at 30 frames per second. Everything else is stuck in first gear. There's some more text, but I'll leave it there.
Gran Turismo.
Patrick?
We just got a racing game to work with.
It's not that easy. There was a few racing games coming to mind. So it's 30 FPS, meaning it has to be at least PS2 area. But Gran Turismo, wouldn't there be more about like realism and stuff? It didn't sound
I don't
like.
remember what their early brand identity was. Eventually, they became that, but I don't know if they were different at the beginning. I'm just thinking about these. I'm thinking the theme might be these PlayStation exclusives that
I'll help you a bit more because I think I botched this one. I'll add the last lines here. They will probably help you a lot. Strap yourself in and hit the course at light speed, blasting your opponents in the only racing game where combat comes as standard.
Okay, so not Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I was thinking it's more like a futuristic thingy going on here.
Yeah.
So that would be Wipeout. It could also be the what was it called, the G something with the motorcycles, but I don't think it's that one.
Yeah,
Or it could be F-Zero even, but I don't think Nintendo would announce it like it's about battle fighting.
Not running 30 FPS on SNES.
Well, yeah,
24 maybe. Yeah. Okay, but you guys had it right. It is actually Wipeout.
There we go.
Yeah, and interesting enough here, Wipeout it wasn't spelled wipe out. It's W1P3 out. Or something like that. Something weird. They changed it for the second game and made it normal. But for the first game, they were there. And this is Psygnosis? You remember that studio? I'm not sure if they're still around. That was a really cool logo back in the day when you were a kid and you started a game and you see that.
Man, I loved Wipeout. I loved Crash Bandicoot. So you got all these childhood games of mine here.
This is the front logo, which is it was really weird.
That's a really cool design. Yeah, you don't see anything kind of that ambitious anymore, I wouldn't say.
What does this remind you of when you look at this stuff here on the right side?
Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders and Destiny.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Well, they're kind of designed after space program mission patches, I think.
Yes, that is actually true. Okay, last game, my friends. Enter the challenging world of this character, and suddenly reality seems far too tame. Free your mind as this character takes you on an arduous adventure through a complex realm of psychedelic landscapes, absurd characters, formidable opponents, and uncharted levels of dementia. This mind-altering platformer game features menacing opponents that learn your playstyle, incredible intense visuals with 65,000 colors. 65,000 colors, guys. And 4 independently scrolling backdrops, 70 surrealistic levels, over 50 demented characters. Accelerating CD quality sound effects. CDs are important here.
Equality. We gone? Oddworld?
Again?
Oddworld?
Oddworld. No, that's a good guess, by the way. No, it's not Oddworld.
I'm not sure. I don't think I know.
Yeah, I don't think Psychonauts is not right.
I was thinking Psychonauts because of the one word you had in there, which was a dementia. Did you say dementia?
Yep. Dementia was part of the description here. I will say this writing was very creative, considering what the type of game it is. This game was made, again, either as a re-release or whatever you want to call it, like a couple years ago, and then they announced a new version this year. It's a platformer.
Yeah.
For a short moment, I heard you say Bubsy or something. Well, you remember Bubsy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's a Ubisoft game.
Rayman.
Oh.
It is a Rayman. this description, I feel like, has nothing to do with the game, to be honest with you.
No, yeah,
What?
I was thinking that. That doesn't make sense.
They're learning your playstyle, these Rayman bosses?
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like that description is perfectly fine. I stand by it.
But the thing is about marketing, you just want people to buy it, and after that, you don't care, right?
That is fair. That is fair. By the way, look at that old Ubisoft. Ubisoft, it wasn't one word, it was 2 words at one point in time, that logo.
That makes sense. Soft is usually like it's a suffix that means software. So
there you go. Learning something every day. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, there you go. Microsoft, for example.
Yes, my friends. I have this guy. I love this guy. By the way, give me a second. This guy. I love this guy. I'm just gonna start with this guy, and then we'll take over and talk about other things. He's a bit more animated than I am. You know this guy?
Yeah, I recognize that guy.
So this is one of my favorite YouTubers. Obviously, very animated. Angry Joe. And in that video, he was talking about PlayStation. So the news is, my friends, this week, PlayStation is ending physical game production in January 2028. It, in many ways, feels like, we are in the future already, but in many ways, it's an end to an era, and it's very depressing in some ways. Obviously, the future is digital. I know that very well. And next generation consoles, I think I predicted like 2, 3, 4 years ago when we were talking that the next generation consoles will not have a CD reader in any shape or form. But I think it would be cool to just quickly talk about thoughts on the topic and impact. I know a lot of gamers right now are obviously expressing their grievance across social media. Sony's being all their accounts are being bombarded with questions, and I also want to know the realities of how many people actually buy physical copies. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is it finally time that we cut the cord? I was hoping this would happen for the next generation. Somebody was mentioning they're just ripping off the Band-Aid right now instead of doing it later and get a bigger backlash. I'm not sure that would be true, but I would love to know what you think.
Anything, and also as far as next generation goes, I still don't know who the hell knows what's going to happen with that. But the thing is, this is all stick, right? They're trying to piggyback off the GTA thing to be like, look, this is reasonable. But there's no carrot here. They have made no argument as to why this is beneficial to you. They haven't said that digital games will be $5 cheaper or anything like that. Which, if you as a consumer are hearing these arguments, all it is you don't have a thing anymore. That's it. And so it's always going to be very difficult for a company to make an announcement like this.
Patrick, any thoughts on that? You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I found it very funny. I think it was just 2 years ago where I saw some LinkedIn posts about people discussing if they still want to have. There's a cat. Sorry. If there's still people who want to have physical disc and so on, and a lot of people said physical disc, they will never disappear. They will always be there. There will always be people who want to have them and stuff. That was only 2 years ago. And at that time, I already thought that doesn't make any sense. Of course, they will go away. There is no reason for us to having them anymore. It's not even that we can own the product and then assume only because we have the disc we can play this thing forever. It's even that one thing, which could have kind of made sense, is not true anymore already. So why do we have that physical piece of software of hard software with us?
I think part of it. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
You go. I said something.
What came to mind is limited run games and those types of companies. How will they operate? Will they continue to be able to? Because there are a lot of cool indie games that actually do fit on a disc, right? And they want to do these limited, runs of, let's say, 1,000, 10,000, I don't know, 100,000 copies, whatever they sell these days. Those people, I don't know, are they going to go out of business now?
Well, I mean, like these things are still, the PS5 is going to be the dominant console for a while now. Even after they release whatever comes next. And so like it's got, it's got a disk drive, right? So this is going to be a consideration, or most of them do. It's going to be a consideration so long as that's the case. It's not going to go away until we move to like diskless stuff, which again, like PC been doing a long time. I don't know when the last time I saw a PC disc was, and that's because I haven't been paying the slightest amount of attention.
Yep.
And then the other option is Switch, right? That's the only other place where we see physical media, and that's just sort of a different chain. So they're probably pretty committed to that. Aside from that, I don't know.
I mean, even on the Switch, there were some games, right? When they released, where the content was not on the actual cartridge.
It was just the key, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This has been like it's been much fuzzier than game is on disc and you can play game for a really, really long time. But I think it's important to have physical media so we can fight slowly and futilely against the inevitable death that brings us one step closer to our grave.
The inevitable assimilation.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Yes, and we like having things. People like having things, and they make you feel safe.
Well, I think, by the way, Dave, now that I think about it, the Nintendo solution is still a very valid solution because I can actually give that cartridge to somebody else. And yes, there's no content on the cartridge, but they can still, like, the other person can still download the game and play it. Now, here, with our case, with PlayStation specifically, once if there's no disc, you can't do that transfer anymore, or if you want to sell it or whatever, boot it up 10 years later. And speaking of that, yeah, go ahead.
I think this is something I hear often. Like an apparent advantage of the physical form is that you can give it to other people and then borrow it to them, and then they can play too. However, how often do we truly still do this? We know it from our childhood. It was such a normal thing to do. But these days, a lot of these games are for free anyways. You have that EA pass or whatever pass. You can play the game for free, which I can play for free as well. Why would we even borrow each other these games, for example?
I mean, I agree
it's
with
barely done these days.
No, that behavior doesn't exist. That is fair to say. But here's what's worrying me, by the way, Patrick, which is, and maybe this, and it makes me wonder if this is all going to, at one point in time, lead to some legislation, for good or bad, I don't know. But maybe there needs to be some legislation in the form of, and I know these are licenses. Well, me and Dave spoke about this before the call. When you are buying a game, physical or not, it's a license and not actually, you don't own anything. But what I want to get into is this story, and this is from PlayStation, by the way. So an update on PlayStation Store for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Now, obviously, these are hardware that is, I think, at this point, minimum 10 years old. They don't sell them anymore in any shape or form. However, they used to have these stores for them, and this makes me question if I own one of these devices and I want to download one of my games that I bought digitally, will I be able to do that? If I cannot do that, is that something politicians need to act on to enable users? I mean, I think there was another story about Studio Canal Plus or whatever it's called. People bought movies on PS4.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and then they are stopping support for that for Studio Canal or whatever. And the people who bought these movies cannot download them anymore on PS4. So I'm seeing this problem now where I have made an investment in some shape or form into these platforms, into these mediums, and now I won't be able to have access. So I agree with you guys. Obviously, physical media will go away. I think it would be still nice as like a limited run type of thing, and I hope those companies can continue to operate. By the way, but I feel like from a consumer point of view, we need to do better to be able to protect those people and enable them to get access to the content they paid for.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely. It's a legislation thing. It's the only way because like we know, and like a lot of people know on an intellectual level that these are licenses. You don't own a thing. You own access to a thing. But this is not the way they're presented at all. That's like, for all intents and purposes, this is a thing that's being sold that you own now, whatever the end user license agreement says. And so they're the only way to address this is at a higher level than any of these companies because the language that we sign when we buy stuff is very clear. We don't own it. And yet, if you have these kind of vaguely deceptive business practices, there's really no other way of attacking it. I don't think. And then we see some action on this in the Stop Killing Games, which also has its own issues. Like there's lots to work with.
Did that lead anywhere, by the way? The stop killing
I
games
think
thing?
it's still moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had some court loss at some point, but some.
Okay. Patrick, any additional thoughts on this specifically?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I also think it's a really deep topic, which is going much further than just the surface level we're talking about here. And that goes into, do we really need ownership in order to enjoy games? Do we really need to conserve games for like a very long time? I mean, if I play a soccer game, like a real life soccer with my friends or so, I'm not expecting ownership on that kind of game. We can just go out and play it any time, basically. And I don't need to own anything in order to enjoy that game, right? Why would it be different with digital games
I
and
think
Well, you
such?
own the ball.
that's equivalence there because you
Some,
can always go play. You do own a soccer ball.
yeah,
Theoretically, you
yeah,
can own a pitch if you want. And you can always do. There will never be anything preventing you from going to go do that, except perhaps lack of access to a soccer ball or
yeah,
pitch,
yes.
which is not the case with.
You can also own a soccer field if you have enough money.
Yeah, you could do that, but does anyone own a soccer field of like
Go to
anyone you
America,
know,
man. We got
for
the
example?
place.
But now I get the point, but my point is much more about the enjoyment of the game itself. And also, I still own a whole bunch of games from the 90s. I still have them in my boxes, but I didn't touch them for like 20 years or so. So there is no actual benefit of owning them, except for that I have a bunch of boxes there with me, which I have to carry around when I move to the next place or so. So it's sometimes we got to understand ourselves a little bit better here. And I believe ownership is not necessarily the thing that makes us happy. And but playing the games and enjoying them, that makes us happy. How we do that, how we achieve that, that's another question. So we have whole different things going on in the world at the moment as well, which is the AI thingy, which is the shift in government power. It's and economy is shifting and changing and such. And I feel all these things might lead us into a direction where capitalism, for example, might not be the same anymore in 20 years as we know it now. And if capitalism changes, also the feeling about ownership changes, the meaning of ownership might change. So, and I'm kind of looking at this from that perspective. I believe now in the system we're living in, ownership feels like something so important. But maybe our focus will shift a little bit later towards what makes us actually happier. So I hope, at least. It's a little bit philosophical. So.
No, I mean, this is a really good topic because there was that quote, "You will own nothing and be happy." Do you remember that quote?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure who that was.
The problem is all these directives are coming down to us from the rich and powerful who like have no interest in us being happy. And
Absolutely.
ultimately, they're like all of the control will come from there. Already, capitalism barely resembles what it did 20 years ago, and there's no good reason to think that the changes are going to be good for us in any way.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
It is a very bleak outlook, let's say, on this, and I think the problem with all of this, Patrick, because I do agree with you on a lot of points, especially like, on the direction, and I feel like it's very dangerous for us and our freedoms. Now I sound a bit American, Dave. You'll have to be the American for me, but the freedoms of how you get access to things, not being restricted. We know today that to continue the topic of politics, um, depending on your opinions, you will have access to or not have access to certain things, especially in Germany and the UK. But when it comes to these things, when it comes to like from a consumer point of view, from the point of view of always being connected and having to pay a subscription, these are the things I think are very damaging to our industry. And this is, this loops back to, if you remember when I was talking about Steam and the Steam machine being probably the future of the living room for me. I don't have these issues, and I'm not dealing with capitalism when I'm dealing with Steam. Just because Steam is not. I know, Dave, you're squinting there. I'm not dealing with capitalism from the perspective of the stock market. Is probably my issue here. The stock market is
How is Steam avoiding that?
because I feel like the decisions they're making are always or not always. Let me take that back.
All the developers that are involved.
For developers, no. For the consumer, would you agree that for the consumer, Steam is a better option than the other platforms?
Yeah, Steam's good. Like Steam is kind of the best we got to work.
Yes, and in many ways, leading the way in terms of allowing developers to decide on how they want to ship things and how they want to sell things and what they want to charge for them. And then for the consumer side, making sure that when a developer pulls a game from Steam, the consumer who bought the game, they still have access to it. So that's another example of like a key component here. And then of course the pricing structures and the online access. That is like there are no restrictions. On top of that, you can use whatever controller you want. You have more freedom of installing things on your device, that type of stuff. I should probably take down this "you own nothing and be happy" page on Wikipedia. But Dave, any thoughts on what Patrick said? There's a lot of unpacking there.
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. We don't need to go into them.
Okay,
it's a big one.
We'll stay on games. But Patrick, I really appreciate that. I think there's a lot to that we need to discuss at one point in time.
Can I add one more thing to the things you just said about Steam?
Yeah.
I believe a lot, and maybe all of the things you just mentioned about Steam and the Steam box, and also count for Roblox.
So expand on that, please.
So basically all the points you mentioned, they work with Roblox as well. Roblox has the advantage that you're not even bound to any kind of stronger machine.
Nice. Yeah.
So it even has that additional advantage to it. Also on the development side, it is so much easier to publish something on Roblox, to get paid on Roblox. What I find very interesting, currently, if you release a Steam game or a service game or so, you have to implement all the telemetry, all the software yourself. In Roblox, everything is there already. And it's so easy to, for example, hire a designer, tell that designer you get 25% of all the features you make for my game. And it all happens automatically through Roblox. So even the hiring process, the working with people and everything works the same for every Roblox game within that platform. It is kind of like Steam, but supercharged, focusing on a very accessible way of operations, and also game distribution. Obviously, it's also very accessible from the user perspective. Interestingly, production values don't seem to be that important anymore. However, you can still create great and deep games in Roblox. So the depth is still there. The production values are not there. They don't look as great as the stuff we know from Steam. but apparently it's good enough for a big audience at the moment, and I believe the production values will grow with that audience. So maybe Steam and maybe Roblox is the next Steam.
Well, if you own a Steam machine, you can install Roblox on it, by the way. So there you go.
Also this.
There you go.
But really good points, Patrick. So how about this, my friends? You have your crystal ball. Give me a kind of like predictions. Where are we in 5 years from now? So it's 2026 right now. Let's say 2030. Do we have new consoles? What is the status of the console like market in terms of, or rather, games market in terms of who owns what? Just give me your
we have
thoughts.
new consoles, but there are. I mean, we have a new console from PlayStation, and it's already a relative failure.
What was that last thing?
And it's already a relative failure, which means that the console world is caught between PS5 and PS6 at this point, causing a lot of problems for developers and consumers in the process. And this is sort of the death knell, the beginning of the end for the PlayStation Xbox conception of a console. Probably ultimately leaving a little more room for Nintendo to play because they're just in a different ecosystem.
Is there another Switch at that point, or are we switched?
Yeah, there's not a Switch. They're going to do shit like that. I don't think that they're. I think that the sort of forward compatibility will continue to exist. Maybe by 2030, things will work on Switch 2 and whatever the next thing is, and they won't work on original Switch. But maybe they'll still work on original Switch. You know.
And what's happening with Steam at that point?
Steam machines are basically the same thing right now. A curiosity.
Roblox. Sorry, Patrick. How about you?
Yeah, PS5, PS6 is going to be difficult, even for console sucker like me. It's I said it last time already. I have no reason purchasing a PS6. I'm so happy with my PS5. I can't even get to play all the games releasing on that platform. The graphics are great enough. I don't need anything better than this, and I don't want to like change again to a new console. And I wouldn't mind paying the money. It's just about comfort at this stage. Nintendo, I believe, will actually not bring out a new Switch or anything, or maybe they will bring out a variation of it, something more accessible of it, like a, I don't know, Switch Micro or whatever. But they will do something very, very different because I believe they understand they need to do something very different now. The Switch 2 is way too similar to the Switch 1. And that can be, and anything can happen here with Nintendo, you know? It can be a great hit, it can be a failure. Maybe it's not really like a typical console anymore. I also don't necessarily see Nintendo so much as a game company, but still more like a toy company. They try to understand what do people want, what is innovative, what is interesting now for the market. And I don't think they would even mind very much if the next thing is not necessarily a video game thing anymore, or maybe still video games, but very different to what we know so far. I could even imagine something like that for Nintendo. And either that's a big failure or a big hit, as it usually is. And Xbox, very difficult. Let's not talk about that. Steam could become really interesting if they get it just more accessible in terms of pricing and everything to everyone. But Steam at the moment, the Steam console is kind of the most interesting for me as a person who loves consoles to purchase right now. That would be the only console I would be interested in actually at the moment. And I believe Roblox is going to be big, or a Roblox equivalent, or maybe something like Roblox 2, because they also understand that at some point their audience is growing and will demand more in terms of production values and such. So maybe this is going to become a thing, Roblox 2.
Will they demand more in terms of production values? They're going to demand different experiences just because people continually demand different experiences, but I'm not sure that will necessarily manifest in production values.
So what I'm seeing in the market is production values with every genre, with every type of game, on every console, they always grow. We always demand more, better effects, stronger, something that looks better, sells better at first. As soon as you purchase it and play it, you don't care about the graphics anymore. But it's a great selling point at first. And I believe the game makers for the people who develop games for Roblox will also understand that at some point. Now all these type of games are out there now. It's really difficult to be creative and create a unique type of game now for Roblox. So what else can we be better with? Well, we can create the same game, but it looks much better in our version here. And then people will shift over to that version potentially. We see that
that's the old paradigm. That's about selling to us, not necessarily selling to Roblox's current customers.
it is the old paradigm, but it is with a new audience, and it's just like history repeats into that direction until they hit. I am not saying that the production values is the most important thing, but it's a strong selling point in the beginning when you don't know the game itself yet. And if this is easier to create, if it's easier to create higher production values, then it is to create new innovative game features, then a lot of developers will try this a little bit. And if people react to it and purchase that thing or play that thing first, plus the substance within the gameplay itself, then it could shift into that direction for a while until that reaches the next level of production values, and then it goes back to actual game substance. This is what I saw, at least in the past 30 years, on all type of consoles, and with each new generation entering the market. We saw it in mobile as well, like hyper casual games. Hyper casual games is actually a pretty nice parallel here, I think. They started looking so bad, horrible, but it worked because of some kind of effect. So people downloaded them, and then these games had to look better and better and better, but they were too flat. And then they had to come up with more substance, and it became more like hybrid casual games or mid-core casual games as such, which are actually kind of becoming just normal mobile games by now. And then these also had to look better and better. And then they need to become more complex again. And then these, again, have to look better and better. We see that all the time. That's what I have been seeing on the markets, at least as a games researcher in the past years.
Good stuff, Patrick. So I am playing a video, or have been playing a couple of videos from Apple. And the reason I'm doing that is I feel like it's a bit odd. I mean, if you have a very modern iPad, I assume it's equally as strong as maybe the Steam machine. So if I want to look at my own crystal ball here. Sorry, come again?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I mean, like having a dedicated graphics card for one thing.
It says, well, so how about this then? If we want to go forward 5 years in the future, maybe there is an opportunity for Apple to do a, let's say, Switch 2 variation, not necessarily with the controllers hanging off the screen, but it's so powerful that you can just you have it, you can play with it normally, and you can play a lot of good games. And if you want, you can hook it to your TV and put your controller, whatever control you want, Bluetooth, play whatever game you want through Steam.
Apple's had lots of opportunity to have a larger footprint in the gaming world, and they've tried a little bit. And I think that if they had the slightest idea what they're doing, they would have done something like that already. They're not, that tune's not changing.
Come on, man! It's just a dongle. Just give us an Apple official dongle. Put your iPad, and you're good to go.
In some way, who could have predicted the various ways in which Stadia sucked? If you told a video game person, and many were told, they're like, "Oh, we're doing this." You're like, "Okay." Well, obviously they won't do any of these stupid things, and then they did all of them, and that's kind of how it works, and that's how it will work with Apple too.
Fair enough. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's move on to something we haven't done in a very long time. Let's look at SteamDB, and then, of course, there are 2 games we want to talk about. I'm sure they're all in the top 10. But looking at SteamDB, my friends, the things that are sticking out, and those are the games we want to talk about. Of course, Taskbar Hero, that's the first one. And the other one is Meccha Chameleon. But Patrick, you'll correct us. How do you say it again?
Actually, it's called Meccha Chameleon. because it's Japanese.
And this is very interesting, but we'll come to it. I want to know who these developers are, because indie dev scene from Japan is not as big. They don't put out games like this.
But it's there, though. It exists.
So we need to learn more. Maybe, Patrick, you can shed some light on it. But going through the list here, I don't see anything that is like. Is there anything else worth noting here?
And I feel like GTA 5 is higher than it has been, because for obvious reasons. Everything else pretty straightforward. Binding of Isaac popping up there.
Yes, I believe they had a 90% sale, is what I understood. I felt it was a bit odd. I just felt like it was too much just because of a sale. I was like, what? Because it feels like this spike is content related. But talking to Mano, he says this is a 90% sale.
Yeah, no, I know. I think there's plenty of people that haven't played this game before. If it costs $2 or whatever, they'll give it a shot.
And it's pretty crazy how this game has been around for plus 15 years, is it? Or 10 years? Yeah, 10 years roughly. So yeah. But other than that, it feels like it's very similar-ish. The same. I don't know why Counter-Strike Global Offensive is up there. That's weird. That's really weird. Because the second one is the #1 game on Steam, and the first one, I thought they killed that one, but apparently it's still live and kicking.
Yeah, what do you know?
Something's happening over there. Or am I the only one who's noticing? Yep, there's a spike on Global Offensive, the first one. I don't know why. Okay, my friends, how about we talk about Taskbar Hero? You've been tasking and barring.
Taskbar Hero right now, man. Look at me. This is what it looks like to play Taskbar Hero.
Well, what is it?
It's just it's just a fun little idle game. It's designed so that it's a transparent window where the action of it is meant, like the top bar is meant to line up exactly with your taskbar. And there's a little bit of a transparency to that, so like it looks like it's integrated with your taskbar. And then you can kind of pop these windows up on top of that as well. And so at the beginning of one hero, gradually you wind up with 3, and it's all the stuff you'd expect out of an RPG, right? I've got my sort of paladin-like character called a priest in front. I've got a ranger and a sorcerer behind them, and most of the game is inventory management. That's the game basically. There's tiered loot. There's gems to put in your loot. There's all kinds of stuff like that. You have a Harager cube, basically. And that's what you do. You level your dudes up, and you fight, and they fight. You just kind of let them do it. Come back, click it a bunch of times, get whatever loot they collected, and keep on keeping on.
So this is like it's like Bongo Cat, but it's a more involved Bongo Cat. Would you say?
Yeah, like from a stat-based RPG perspective, it's every bit as complicated as.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it's got all the stuff. It's got critical chance, elemental resistance, elemental damage, block chance. But it's got all kinds of stuff like that. All the stuff you'd kind of expect from a standard stat-based RPG. It's just that there is no like mechanical component to it, right? You don't do anything.
What happens if you don't do anything? Does the game still continue and operate, or does it require input?
I mean, like if you want to level up, you have to like spend your skill points and equip new items, but that's all you have to do. They will continue to fight without you.
Yeah, that's really cool. And by the way, we're looking at some footage here. It looks pretty awesome. I mean, this is
it's fun to go to have watch the ice. My ice storm is clearing out AOE crowds right now. It's cool.
Are there any gacha mechanics or any you get unique items you can resell on Steam?
Yeah, so there's like a Steam store, like a real money Steam store, which I'm not messing with. But that is this real money Steam, but there's no gacha, right? Is you just buy stuff on the Steam store that people put up there, and I think they're obviously taking a cut and all that. And other than that, there's just like a couple microtransactions. Like there's a starter pack that increases your progress. You can buy an extra inventory page, and they have 2 characters that are paid, and 1 bonus character which is free. So that's kind of how they're doing it.
Awesome. It's interesting, by the way, that both of these are top 10 games on like Bongo Cat and this one.
And this person has a oh no, they do have a tank in there, but they've put their sorcerer out front, which I question the wisdom of that, quite honestly.
He's a beginner, maybe. Patrick, did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, so for years now, what I'm keep telling my clients is make your games more accessible. Talking about free-to-play and service game clients here mainly. For example, right now, I'm talking to you guys. I cannot engage with Arc Raiders, right? And that sucks. I mean, I like talking to you guys, but I also like to engage with Arc Raiders. So why aren't there any strategic decisions or so I can make while I'm not actively playing on my console? Why isn't there anything I can do now when I'm at work 8 hours per day or so? Why can't I engage with it? So, and it's more apparent if we talk about regular mobile games, which forced me to do a lot of like Twitch input and so on. Why can't they give me a little bit of autoplay mechanics and such, so I can just make some strategic decisions while I am also at work and I can have the game running and such. And then later when I'm back at home, I just engage with the game normally, but in between I still need something to do to engage with it. And these type of games do it from the other side around. They take this as a base. You don't have to interact with the game at all. It will play itself, and then it still has a lot of depth. So this is extremely high accessibility. I always like to call it accessibility. Always focus on accessibility, make your game more accessible. This one has extremely high accessibility, but a lot of gameplay depth as well, just as a pretty deep RPG. I will let you know already the evolution of this. There will be more multiplayer involved. For example, I think this game doesn't have clans yet, right, Dave?
The only multiplayer element is that Steam store I mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. So the next evolution of these type of games will have clans. It will have complex systems behind the clans, still autoplay and everything. But from time to time, you have to interact with your clan. You have to send them resources and such. And this can be monetized so greatly. Everyone on this planet will have this game running on the desktop, and everyone has a clan. And then there's events. Now this week you have to do even more. You have to focus a lot on supporting your clan so they can win the clan wars, and this is all monetized. You're gonna be rich. So that's what we're gonna see now, I think. Dave Dave looks like he hates this.
Yeah, whatever, man. We already got plenty of shit like that. Yeah, I mean you'll see that definitely. I think you'll see like raid mechanics, where you're fighting one big thing for a while, shit like that. But right now, the simplicity is what sells it for me. I am not going to engage with this any further. I remember I was playing this one game. What was it? It was like this phone game where you fired these arrows and they ricocheted around and you upgraded your loot and that kind of thing. And I liked it. You had to kind of do it. It was a nice combination of just kind of advance based on effort and getting more stuff, and kind of a little bit of skill. And then at one point, I unlocked the autoplay function. Never touched that thing again.
This is a free game, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can buy some DLC or some things that help you.
Yeah, so look, 2162 is the most you can spend on it looks like.
I wonder if there's a way. Is there a way to see how much money they've made?
No. Yeah, I would love. I think the entire games industry would love to be able to see how much money their competitors have made. But yeah.
But so far, I mean, this is surprising. I thought they would have more users. This is like almost 2 million downloads.
It is. It's fairly. It's definitely aimed at core gamers, right? So the appeal is more niche than you think it's going to be, because it's aimed at core gamers that want an idle game, and that Venn diagram does not completely overlap, right?
No, it is fair, and I think the amount of people who are sitting on a desktop, it's mostly like people like us, or people like who are working or in a work environment.
Yeah, in a work environment where you are using a computer, you're allowed to install Taskbar here.
Yeah, or students maybe who are
Yeah,
doing
students they won't. Uh,
assignments.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how much time students are spending on desktops these days. Like, it is a thing that seems like it is an incredibly broad thing, but it is actually a little more niche than you think it's going to be.
I wonder if is it possible to install this on a Mac?
I don't know. We'll see.
Feels like this would be perfect for a Mac as well.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, just because we don't have a lot of time, how about we talk about Meccha Chameleon? That's what I'm calling it.
You already said some things about Meccha Chameleon. You have more things to say about Meccha.
Patrick, if you can just decrease your microphone a bit, I think it's a bit too much. And then please take it away and tell us everything we need to know about Meccha Chameleon.
It's a really fun game, very streamable, especially, and it gives so much creative freedom in this very. It's a micro framework of creative freedom actually, and this is what makes it so great. And if you achieve it, that people can put their creativity into a game and it becomes part of the gameplay, that is usually quite huge. And it's so much fun to watch. It's just there you go. Just look at that.
It's one of those things where it's like so many like it's not a technically sophisticated development process. You know, like so many people could have made this game, and that's how you know it's awesome because they didn't. It's a really super simple thing. That's just great.
Can you just walk us through like what do you actually do in this game?
Camouflage your dude into the world.
So you're hiding. This is a multiplayer game, and you're hiding in the world. And is it like one person hiding, and then everybody's trying to look for them, or how does that work? You know?
No.
And there's shotguns apparently, so I'm not sure. So you're supposed to shoot the person you are looking for, but you're in this mansion, and there's a lot of things that, from an art perspective, they chose a very interesting, let's say, look and feel to the game, where you can really if you want to hide and use the mechanics that are available to you, which is you're painting over your character. You start with a white silhouette, and then you're painting over the character to look similar to something in the background. And you can move around, of course, so you can like change hiding positions if you need to. But this is one of the top games now on Steam, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, the streamability, the fact that like it makes for good moments, right? You're like, holy shit, there it was. That's a good moment, you know.
Is this also a continuation of the Friend Slop, or is this something completely different? Or
It's Friend Slop. I call it Friend Slop.
I mean, there's no proper scientific definition of what Friend Slop is. I would say Friend Slop is more like a feeling, and this, yeah, I would argue this feels like Friend Slop, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Friend Slop.
All Friend Slops are fun.
We're all supporters of Friend Slop here.
Yeah. Fun should be in.
I think that Friend Slop is like the most exciting thing to happen to the industry since like Fortnite.
That is very accurate to say. Maybe they should change the name to Fun Slop, because it is fun to play.
I don't know who they is in this context.
I don't know. Whoever's deciding things, man. It's the man.
Man, yeah.
Yes, you know the reference. Gentlemen, I think we have reached the end of the episode today. Really appreciate your time and knowledge here today. It was fun talking to you. For those who've been following us this far, again, please do like, subscribe, head to guysweekly.com. Help us out in any shape or form. A lot of you are paying us. I don't know why you are, but thank you for that. Really appreciate it. That being said, we'll see you. We'll see you soon again. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Take it easy.
Thank you.